and have Alex come on up here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you everybody for coming here to the DDN User Group. We have lots of really interesting things to talk about today. And most of it is really in what our users are doing with DDN products in order to enhance the work that gets accomplished in all of these wonderful HPC data centers. So the theme that we've selected for DDN for this conference is re-energizing HPC workflows. Now, why re-energizing? Why is it that workflows need to be re-energized? A number of reasons for that. I think that the advances in technology over the last several years in processors, in interconnect, in distributed environments, combined with the significant scale-up that has happened in accelerating time to insight in a very distributed global fashion, has created an environment where a lot more can get done. And in order for that to happen, I think a number of things need to happen. The first one is applications need to be re-energized. So there's a lot of work going on in algorithms which are streamlining applications, helping applications run more efficiently, given the resources that are now available. And at the same time, many applications are now getting rewritten in order to take advantage of the power that's available. So we felt that, re-energizing HPC workflows is a really good theme for what is happening in our industry. Our industry is also expanding. Historically, HPC decades ago was just supercomputers, research facilities, academia, doing work that was mostly scientific in nature. Now that has expanded very, very significantly into the enterprise. The enterprise has embraced the methodology and technology and approaches that have made research so successful in HPC, and they're utilizing it in a number of areas: manufacturing, financial services, life sciences, genomics, oil and gas. These are all areas which are benefiting from HPC best practices. And the cloud also, in its vast distributed capabilities, is finding that it can utilize what we have learned in past decades in our traditional HPC environments. So that is really some of the things that we'll be touching on, but again, in the context of what actual customers, actual users are doing with DDN products and DDN architectures in order to further advance their work. We would like to thank you, obviously, for continuing to be great supporters of DDN. So DDN continues to be the #1 storage leader in the HPC space in terms of market share, customer satisfaction, as well as performance and scale. And some of our users, some of the DDN users, will be talking today about what scale really means. And it's really amazing the scale at which things can get done today using the building blocks of technology that are available. In terms of focus areas for DDN, so we are an HPC company, even though the definition of HPC has expanded, as I mentioned, from supercomputers and academia into enterprise web cloud. So these are kind of the 8 areas where DDN is focused on. In all of these areas, we have a large number of customers who typically do things at large scale. And again, supercomputing is kind of the foundation upon which HPC was built. And then from there, it branched out into weather and climate, which is an area where we've had some very significant wins over the last 12 to 18 months. Oil and gas, life sciences, and manufacturing, financial services, which is certainly pushing things to the limit. And then analytics, which kind of cuts across all of these environments. And web cloud, which is today, I think, a lot more than just a distribution vehicle. web cloud, I think, is providing new ways to get things done while also driving the economics to become far more affordable, I think, for everybody. All of this really ties into accelerating time to insight. So utilizing HPC tools and HPC building blocks really only makes sense if we can get things done far more efficiently, better, faster, more cost effectively. And so it's an acceleration of time to insight. And that translates in different ways depending on which market you're in. So if you're in oil and gas, it's, how do we drill in the right places and extract more oil or more gas from the reserves by better mapping what is really happening, which is a fairly complex problem. In financial services, it's providing better insights through the analysis of larger data sets in real-time applications in order to get better decisions made, which result in enhancing the performance of portfolios and therefore the return on investment. In life sciences, it's curing diseases better, faster. In retail applications, which kind of bridges into web and cloud, it is helping customers buy what they need more efficiently and at the same time having less fraud going on in online purchases. But by and large, all of this, the common thread to all of this is accelerating time to insight in order to get things done better, faster, more cost effectively, and deliver better results. In terms of the DDN product portfolio, so our portfolio is really focused on 3 pillars, which together help solve HPC challenges in an end-to-end manner. The first pillar really focuses on solid-state, SSD, NVMe, flash technologies. So we've developed software, IME, which acts as an application accelerator utilizing silicon, utilizing flash, as well as a burst buffer layer that sits in front of a file system. So that is the first layer, first pillar of the DDN product portfolio. The second one is our SFA technology. And we have successfully transitioned into the SFA 14KX. We have shipped hundreds of systems now. We have met and exceeded the performance metrics that we had identified initially when we started the development of the platform, and that's performance as measured in block performance, in sequential applications, in random applications, through the file system, in embedded environment where the file system is embedded inside the appliance with various types of disk drives sitting behind it, as well as in tiered architecture where there's a solid-state tier sitting in front of spinning disk. And then IME, which is kind of the flash SSD accelerator burst buffer. That product has become a reality. There's more than 100 IME 14K nodes that have been deployed in customer environments. These are both InfiniBand and OmniPath environments, so EDR and OPA. And again, we are finding that we are exceeding the performance expectations for the IME product. I mean, IME has now been shipping for since the second half of last year. I mean, it's a product and a technology which has been in development at DDN for more than 4 years now. And we believe that there are significant advances that can be achieved in a variety of market segments in HPC utilizing IME and leveraging the capabilities of 1, new flash technologies, and 2, new interconnect technologies. As far as the user group sessions go, I will just briefly introduce some of our speakers. You will notice that most of the presentations are done by DDN users who will describe what their environments look like, what benefits they're looking at achieving with their HPC infrastructure, and how DDN plays a role in the infrastructure that they've deployed. So Greg Newby Newby, who's the Chief Technology Officer at Compute Canada, will be talking about his environment and some of the very interesting things that they are doing. Pamela Hill will talk about NCAR, and that's a very, very different use case. But in many ways, it is similar in the sense that it is pushing the envelope in terms of performance, price performance, efficiency in an end-to-end manner. Not just looking at storage as something that exists in a vacuum, but storage as something that enables organizations to really gain insight out of their data. Robert, who runs our sales, marketing, and field services organization worldwide, will be talking about our strategy for data-intensive environments. So that's big data, HPC, and then compute-intensive environments. And Robert will give a technical talk, I promise. So I will be the only person here giving a non-technical talk. So rest assured, the rest of it will be goodness. Kish Vanthe from Intel will be talking about OmniPath. So we've done a number of deployments on OmniPath, some at very, very large scale. So we're a strong proponent of OmniPath. We believe that there's a very bright future for the technology at scale and in price performance, as well as highly scalable environments. Sébastien Buisson from DDN will be talking about multi-level security in Lustre. So this is something that DDN has been working on for some time, and we think that it's a very important feature in the expansion of Lustre environments into some of the use cases that we're seeing out there. Sven Omi will be talking about spectrum scale, so the GPFS file system, and some of the innovations that are taking place for the Coral program, but also in terms of spectrum scale and the enhancements that are being made to the file system and the portfolio. And then the second half of the user group sessions will focus on what can be done utilizing Flash, SSD, NVMe, and again, IME. Professor Boku from JCHPC and Tsukuba University will be talking about some pretty amazing, incredible things that he and his team have been doing there. So I won't say anything there. I will let him speak to that, but it's truly phenomenal. James Coomer from DDN will give an update on IME in kind of real-world environments, application profiling, and application acceleration. So this is real data. That's the newest and greatest data that we've been able to garner from various customer environments. Jesse Hanley will be talking about IME in the context of some of the analysis that has been done at Oak Ridge National Lab. Marek, our good friend Marek Mikelowicz, who was at Singapore and is now at the University of Warsaw, both DDN customers, will be talking about the renaissance in Polish supercomputing. So I don't know if there are kind of old world connotations versus new world connotations to that, but because Marek has seen both sides of it, I think he will give us a very, very interesting presentation about what is going on in Poland and University of Warsaw. And then finally, Paul, my partner, president of DDN, will be giving the closing remarks to this user group and invite you to get drunk, courtesy of Intel. So with no further ado, I will turn it over to Greg Newby from Compute Canada, and thanks again for being here today. Greg?